Brownie's back. We've done a couple with you, actually. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's good. Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Getting a few things off your chest?
Yeah.
Did you get some good feedback from your mates or people?
Have I got mates?
I don't know. I mean, did you miss the sea? Like,
yeah, no, it's been good. It was good talking about me and Johnny.
Yeah.
People don't hear that side of things, and it was a interesting relationship.
Yeah.
So a bit of things to get off my chest there, and then it was just good to speak about something that I'm passionate and interested in. So yeah, I've enjoyed it.
We should just mention actually, we've done 2 shows with you. When England teammates clash, as you touched on already, that was with Johnny May. I'll never forget the look in his eye as I said, "What's it like between the two of you?" And John went, "Yeah, it was really good." And Mike went, "Well, I'm not so sure about that." And then we did the other one, which was about your journey to becoming a sporting director at Isha. Are you getting?
It's going the right way.
Yeah.
I've obviously chucked a lot of change at them at once. Takes time to make change, and especially mid-season when you're doing a lot of things at once. But we'll get there.
You're going in for a bit of breakdown.
Yeah,
tackling.
Brownie's messaged me. We're gonna find a date. Going to go in there, do some back row work, do some tackling stuff.
Coach Hask, that's the one thing that you haven't yet got on your resume. Not sure rugby podcasting suits you very well.
We're not. Well, we've reached 300 episodes, so
we have.
That's
a remarkable. We actually had Joe Marler on for our 300th episode. Thank you as well to the. I'm told it's nearly 180,000 of you that tune in and listen and watch each week. Let's get into this week's episode, and we'll start with the Hello Dream Team. I hope you're well. Welcome along to whatever this is. What episode is this of season 6? Season 6, episode 20 of The Good, the Bad, and the Rugby, proudly sponsored, as always, by our fantastic partners at Continental Tyres.
Tins has done one of those episodes. Continental Tyres are the official tyre partner of England Rugby, engineered for victory. Their award-winning tyres are built to perform no matter the conditions.
And we are up and running in the Guinness Six Nations. England and France burst out of the blocks while Scotland slipped up in Rome, but now the weather shifts. From driving rain to searing heat, a week of fire and brimstone awaits. Expect the echoes of Jim Telfer from north of the border, the spirit of David Soul's slow march, and Flower of Scotland sung at its atmospheric best. For the 133rd time, it is the Calcutta Cup, a fixture that has a staggering amount of history and is woven into the fabric of both sides of the border. Calcutta Cup week to you means memories?
This is controversial.
Yeah.
I actually hated going up to Scotland to play at Murrayfield. For a lot of my career, I didn't, for some reason, I never really made that game. And then when I did, it was our first game for Eddie Jones. We turned up. Everyone was booing us, throwing stuff at the bus, insulting us as we got off, created a really hostile environment. And we went there.
Bagpipes, when you get get off the bus, get your bag, and they send the bagpipes through straight away.
Yeah, which at its best sounds like someone squeezing the air out of a sheep's
I'm
bladder.
Just trying to get my bag. I just want to get in a change room.
And people are throwing
got
shit.
A list of this shit.
And I don't mind the bagpipes, but I don't know which song they're playing, but it's gets into your brain.
Highland Cathedral.
Is that the one they play? And so this week it's a massive banana skin, I think, for England. Coming off the back of Italy pretty soundly. Well, I think looking the better team for most way through that game. Gregor Townsend looking despondent on the sideline. The only problem is you're going into hostile environment. The Scots have a real hatred for the English, even though they pretend they don't. For whatever, we know why. Years and years of battle. So I think they really ignite the passion.
I think they'll huff and puff for first 10.
Yeah.
But I think England will just be so businesslike, be so drilled in the game plan.
Yeah.
I think they'll weather that stormish, but they, like you said about Gregor.
Yeah.
He looks like he's done.
Yeah.
And I think the players, for me, have tapped out.
Do you think?
I reckon so.
I
don't think that
gives
consultancy.
You that impression?
Just from listening to him post match, he was a bit like, I don't know, it was just a bit too.
It felt a massive game for Scotland.
Yeah,
that one in Rome. It sort of was. It's a bit of a sort of pivot.
I can almost imagine being in that change room where your Scotland coach is now a consultant somewhere else. For me, I'm just a bit like, how
is that genuinely a thing for players though? Would you really mind?
How can you?
When Eddie Jones had consultancies left.
Well, yeah, he did towards back end, and players were talking about it.
Really?
Because he was asking for our full commitment and us to be a certain way. And then you look at him going and earning loads of money across the world doing this, and you're a bit like, I just think as well, as the head coach of a country, your sole focus should be on that. And it almost is like he's teeing up something else on the side. with that consultancy, whether he's angling to move into that.
But
I just think it's not a good look, is it?
Well, the flip side is that there's been a lot of chatter about Gregor and Scotland for probably 12, if not 18 months. Yeah. And he's a bright guy with a big resume. And why would you not be doing it?
My argument, you've got to ask yourself, most of the talk pre this tournament was this is probably the best Scotland squad they've had. And I think Townsend basically put his hand up and said,
don't they say that every year?
Well, yeah, I think they do.
This is what I mean. Like they never go on to do anything.
No.
So it's like...
But that's what I'm wondering, whether his time is served, because we talked about it on some shows last year. He has probably rung all the juice he's going to get out of these lads. The players aren't going to change.
Yeah.
The only thing that can change is the coaching mentality. Scotland cannot lose to Italy, particularly after the last few years of where we've talked about them being, what they should be doing, the players they've got, Finn Russell at 10. And I think if you look at the way Italy have progressed, have Scotland progressed to a point where we go now they're really in top conversation? No, the answer is not. So what do you do?
I think it's the way they lost as well, right? Yeah. So it's the opening game of the Six Nations. That should be when you're at the most motivated, passionate,
energetic.
Energetic. You've just had a bit of a camp. You're ready to go. It's first time you get to run out for your country. All those sort of things. And it was almost like Italy had that, and they were nowhere near. Yeah. And you look at the first try. So that was quite early on, right? The kick through. Firstly, I don't know what the backfield was doing. The guy stood over there. They just kicked it through.
Yeah,
that's
great
the first
nudge
thing
as well.
Great nudge. But I looked at the faces of the Scotland players because the camera panned to them as they walked under the posts, and they were just all it was like they had nothing in them already, and that's only a few minutes into the game. Whereas, international players should be like, okay, not a great start, no problem, right, let's get under the post, we'll fix it. It's only a few minutes into a test match. Shit happens.
Yeah.
But they all just looked like they were gone already, and I just didn't see how they were going to get back into it.
So we'll come on to England's performance against Wales, but therefore talk to me about the mindset of England going north of the border this weekend. So they have not won at Murrayfield since 2020. There is all the history that always comes up every year that it's a Scotland-England game. Scotland, you guys are saying, are dejected. There's cracks in the camp, etc. It sort of feels classic banana skin territory, or not?
Yeah. It's first 10 minutes, like I said, if you let Scotland grow in an arm and a leg, so they will be massively motivated off the back of disappointment, back at home against England. They'll use all this as motivation, right? Yeah. First 10 minutes.
I'm not sure they can pin a podcast to the wall, but you've given them plenty of quotes to
and everyone will, right?
Already.
Everyone's will be slagging them off and all that, so they will have that for the first, to fire them up. So for England, it's then sticking to their game plan, whatever that is, sticking to what they're good at, kind of weather that storm, so you don't feed it even more, and then allow them to get into the game even more. And then after that, I think we'll just be too strong, too powerful, too much X factor, better bench.
Yeah. I actually think just the power, the size, how George Ford attacked, how good they looked with runners on, how many offloads they had in contact, how they used to look after the ball, how good Alex Mitchell was off the base, consistently moving the ball, two guys over, not putting too many men into rucks. Now,
and what allowed them to do that? So jump in.
Right.
What allowed them to do that was their game plan, their kicking game.
Yeah.
So they just stuck to that, didn't they?
Yeah.
From the off, it was businesslike. So George Ford kicking long to either put pressure on them to kick it out, where we know our line-out's really strong, or make an error, get a scrum, again, we know that's strong, and just stuck to it. Didn't go off pace, didn't go off piece, even though it could have got a bit easy, things like that. And whereas Wales, they were just then pumping it straight back to George Ford, who's like, sweet, spiral bomb, long and on, long and off, whatever they needed to do to just stay in that game plan.
Yeah, I mean, and again, look at the only thing that will undo us, I think, will be England's, say for example, I can't remember which autumn international it was, but when the line out completely fell apart, where we won 45 or 50% of our ball, and we still won. That's a very difficult thing to do. If you go to Murrayfield and it's pissing with rain and all the stuff that Brownie said, Scotland are motivated, and actually, I think it's a lot simpler to pick up the pieces for Scotland, because you then go, did you have the intent? Did you have the physicality? Did you have the game plan? Did you have the direction? Did you defend as you'd want to defend? No. So those are things you can really quickly sort out. But I think England, it's England's to lose, if you know what I mean. I think that some of the easy wins, especially you look at Ireland as well. Andy Farrell talks about lack of intent. Raising intent is an emotional thing to do. It's not a game plan thing to do. Scotland's bits, yes, there was game plan errors, but it was probably mindset issue. So that's easier to fix than glaring holes. Where England, I see the only chink of light for Scotland is if, for example, the line-out doesn't function or the scrum doesn't function.
I just can't see England not being good at set piece because like Steve has them so well. You know, how well drilled he'll have them and how powerful they are.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
the bench through to the first team. It's just like can't see it.
Again, when you look at England where they are right now, obviously everyone's talking about a France-England Grand Slam, and then obviously there's a lot of fixtures to come. There's a big November, but then actually next year's, I'm getting miles ahead of myself, but next year's Six Nations, England have got Wales and Ireland away. So the reason I look ahead 18 months into a World Cup is that it almost feels like if they can win at Murrayfield and go to a Grand Slam, whether or not they win the Grand Slam, they're beginning to get to the denouement of the tournaments type thing. So for England, this feels like a really big fixture.
Yeah.
When you were going into a game like this, and there are days when it's England All Blacks and it's just about, that's a great celebration of a great fixture. For England, this feels like you've got to get the job done and get out of there as quickly as you can type thing. Did you love weeks where it was get up there, get the job done and get home? Or did you find those kind of fixtures a little bit kind of like trickier to handle? Do you know what I mean? Where I'm trying to get to with it? England should win this weekend.
Yeah,
they're desperate to win this weekend, but there is a massive banana skin underfoot.
I think that's
where the Scotland side.
I think that's where your preparation, your focus all week has to be at the most diligent and professional. So those games where there is a slight banana skin, things like that, even like Wales in the weekend, like they just stuck to what they'd obviously drilled in the week, which made their preparation great. So then the small bit of the weekend was just so businesslike, and it seems to be the same this week, especially going away against Scotland, who will be fired up. Opening.
I think as well, if you want to go and win bigger trophies, you can't be mixing it with teams that are not as good as you. And frankly, I don't think Scotland are as good as England. I look across the board. I don't think I think France are probably the only team at the moment that are as good as England. So I think England have to transition into that phase, that 2003 mentality, that 2016 mentality of we can beat anyone. The problem with the Six Nations is it can create fools of every pundit, fools of every expert. That's the beauty. That's why we love it. That's why we love it. And Scotland will be laying in ambush. And as I said, their fix-ups are actually relatively easy because they're emotional. They're not game plan.
It is an easy thing. Yeah. However, it's only skin deep when your confidence is low, belief is low. You're not sure about your gaffer. What's he doing? Yeah. He looks a bit despondent in an interview. You sense all that as a player. Yeah. So yes.
So first you keep saying first 10 minutes.
So they have it to start with because of all the passion and things that evolved in this game and being at home and coming off the back of disappointment. But you can beat out of someone pretty quick if you just stick to your game plan. They're constantly having to run out their own half. Yeah. You're smashing them in the breakdown. You're smashing them in contact. You're getting over the gain line. It's a bit like, it just saps you. 10 minutes gone, you're like, phew.
If you ever want to look at how to dismantle the game, England World Cup final 2019, they could not get in the game. South Africa did not allow them. Forcing errors back into their own 22, not kicking properly, line-out turnovers, and scrum failing, 5 scrum losses. That's how Scotland would win if England didn't put that into place. And then it's not about effort on the field; it becomes rubber the green. And the beauty of rugby is it's a combination of backing up positives to get where you want to go. Every time you do a positive, if you've got a negative or 2 negatives, you don't kick it out, you don't win your line out, lose your scrum, drop a ball, play in the wrong areas, the kick's too long, all the little things that you don't notice. By the end of it, when you look at, sort of add it up at the end, that's why you lost. I just think England, if they get the prep right this week, understand what a banana skin it is, give them the respect Scots are due, but deep down, no, they're better. That's how you get the win.
All those things that cause a banana skin are, the bad discipline, skill errors, the not doing your job at set piece, whatever it is, it's down to focus. Yeah. And you lose focus when you think it's going to be a bit easy, or you don't get preparation right, or, we'll just walk this one. Yeah. We had a good win against Wales. Scotland aren't go, no, that's focus. Yeah. But I don't think that camp now.
No, has it? Yeah.
With someone like Steve will allow that to creep in.
Is there anything pre-game? And I'm thinking flat tire on the bus. I'm thinking car alarms at 2 a.m. I'm thinking, you mentioned the bagpipers being out in the middle for 7 or 8 minutes before Scotland then emerge. Is there anything like that now?
We had it in France for the Grand Slam game. So in a week, we used to have those meetings, didn't we? Like game leaders or what the spine of the team. So we'd meet up once a week with Eddie, and we'd talk about different things that might arise in the week.
Scenario planning.
Scenario planning, that was it. And he dropped in that one about the bus. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And in the week leading up to the French game, because he obviously knew that sometimes they mess around with the buses or whatever. Yeah. And lo and behold, on the way to the thing, he tried to go around that corner and we got stuck, which made us late. But we'd spoken about it in the week of how we would deal with it mentally, any preparation issues, cutting the warm-up down, all those little things that might, as an individual or collective, kind of put you off track or whatever, or make your head explode. We'd spoken about it, so there was no panic. Yeah. Even some lads were laughing about it. And we were a bit late and it didn't matter at all.
And we didn't notice it, but also it was the same thing he said. The team that comes out the other side of an injury and a yellow card, a big moment in the game, brings the energy, will win. Dylan Hartley, chop tackles, gets sparked out, gets carried off. We then regroup, do what he told us to do, come back out of it, more energy, score first, win the game. And that's the component parts that make it up. So you just say, right, what happens if we come up, the line-out's not working, we're late getting into the stadium, the Scots gone mad, they delay us in the changing room, it's pissing with rain, the referee gives us 2 yellow cards. What is it you manage? And actually, a lot of teams that I'd been in had never discussed any of that. So everything was a surprise. And when you're trying to get 15 individuals to think as one, that's very hard because some people deal with it, let's do more, let's force it, let's just try harder. When actually it's breathe, moment, analyse, set, game plan, who's going to speak, who's going to lead it, and that's the difference. And some teams, like 2015 team, we never did that. We didn't have that. So when they go to kick for corner, and when Robbo goes to kick for corner, the tee should have come on. Boys didn't want to take the kick. There should have been a longer minute. We shouldn't have been rushed by the referee. Robbo got hung out to dry. There's loads of bits that you wouldn't allow to happen now. And I think, as Brownie said very astutely, this side seems now, it's gone from growth post Eddie to finding its feet to now a real sort of group of set professionals who understand what they're doing. There aren't any weaknesses in that team. There aren't any guys who don't really have experience, know what they're doing. Everyone fits into it and everyone looks like they're part and parcel of it.
Steve will be equally as diligent as Eddie was because he worked with Eddie about those scenario plans and how important that preparation is in the week to have all bases covered and leaving nothing to chance. Yeah. Hopefully, for then the weekend, if anything, like you said, arises or pops up.
It's like when you go to Bath and Bath got shit has changed, or did, I don't know, shit has changed in the universe. The fucking kit man comes in, sprays all the floor with water. So you're fucking standing in puddles. You got no space. It's 4,000 degrees. They fuck around with the bus. The fans are booing you on the way in. You come in and then you've got to go out to warm up. The pitch was always a bog. And then you have to play. That derails people because, Premiership footballers, for example, wouldn't have out. The grass is perfect. They've got a new set of boots. The kit's there. They've got all that immaculate. In rugby, it still is like the Wild West. When we played Italy in one of the games, we're driving along, motorbike outroad, it gets run over by a car. And we're all out the bus, there's a big crash. You're like, what the fuck are you going on? Italians, they're battening some old bird. You sort of look out the bus and that can derail you. Then you start chatting. How do you get on it? One of the lads is feeling sick. You're tired. The rooms are shit. The food is shit. All these things go in to make it. So, but you're a professional. And actually, when you're first coming together as a team, that's what can throw you. But these lads just shake it off and go. All that matters is what happens when the whistle goes for the launch of the game. The training doesn't even count in the week. It's all what happens on that moment. And as Brownie said, Steve will be across it, but it's still a big occasion.
That moment will be easier when you've prepared. You feel that confidence. You ticked it all off. You put that to bed. But also with the preparation side of things, so being prepared for that stuff like the bagpipe stuff like that. So do you remember what Eddie used to do? We'd go in that training centre inside. For Wales, for example, he'd put on the speakers as loud as possible. Yeah. The Welsh, the choir and all
red
that.
Red smoke bombs.
Yeah, red smoke bombs. So we'd go and do loads of stuff in there, where it's
this is at Penny Hill.
Penny Hill, disorientating. Communication has to go up a notch because of how loud it is.
Can't hear the line-out calls. People are screaming because they're so close to the field. You can't hear anything.
We do stuff like that. And then going to South Africa on tour, he set up on the way to... You've been to the training centre through Penny Hill. You have to kind of walk up the hill to that. All the way up the hill, he'd put like all the cars with like all the staff dressed up as like South African fans, having barbecues like we were going into the stadium. Yeah, the cauldron, and they'd be shouting abuse at us, in Afrikaans, all that, just to kind of reenact what we'd come up against.
And then like things like, you know, even it sounds silly, Scotland, ball boys, England rugby ball goes off the field, ball boys give you the fucking wettest ball. So Eddie's there, buckets of soap water, putting them in the soap water, putting them out there for you to play, no time to dry it, can't hear the calls, can't do that, referees rushing you. It's that
hurry up, mate,
hurry up, and you can't hear, you don't get the line out. And so all of that is now, and you know, Borta were doing the same thing. So I you know, because Murrayfield, you know, we had it with Chris Robshaw, 2000, I don't know which Six Nations it was, where they wanted us out in the tunnel, out on the field,
Wales,
so they could sit and wait, and keep turn the music down.
That was you were right, you were Bill Sykes' attack dog.
I was kind of behind him, offering my support in my own way. Because he was kind of stood there like not really, he's not that guy, is he?
No.
So he was, so I thought I'd be, you know, like you're saying, that kind of bit more aggressive sort of person.
Is it
in that
Macbeth's
situation.
wife whispering? Was it Macbeth or no?
No, I think he was more baring his teeth. Not whispering.
But that's what fed my passion and stuff as well. So I really enjoyed that side of things. Whereas Robbo's a lot more chilled, and he was
controlled.
Getting, you know, that he had the ref at him, he had them at him, he had some stadium gnaws at him. So I thought I'd take a bit of heat off him.
And they're all forcing you out. Go, let's go. I mean, I on that celebs go dating thing recently, you know. Put a decision. You're gonna kiss. You're gonna kiss. You're gonna kiss. The fucking doctor's gonna kiss. You're gonna 5 cameras. You got to kiss. You got to kiss. It's like, what do you do? You either say no or you do it. I did it. Segue. But I think that's a really important thing to take into account. And actually, the Six Nations is the home of those things. Late buses, Italy turning up, reinventing rugby, tunnel fights. You know, this is where you get away with it. When you get to World Cups, it's so well managed that you wouldn't be allowed to have that. But when the home nations get a chance to
2019 final,
to do what you
win
want.
some, you lose some, right? Ryan Wilson, in the tunnel, obviously flustered us. We lost in, so that was my last memories, 2017. When we lost in Scotland. Quite convincingly, we were terrible on the day, and did that moment with him and trying to pick on George Ford with Owen going after him. Fluster us, I don't know.
And that's when Hamish Watson was outstanding that day. That's what if you've got a player from their side who has a mercurial performance, gets 5 turnovers at breakdown, and you can't deal with him, and you're carrying over the game, suddenly the wheels come off. And that's why rugby's so weird, because it's not an individual sport, it's a team sport. But weirdly enough, if an individual shows really well on the side, it can turn the tide.
Finn Russell could be that guy.
Yeah, could be.
He's got it in him, hasn't he?
So. And every time he plays for England, plays against England, he looks like he absolutely loves it.
So many of these moments, though, are determined by the actual result. So you think of Ryan Wilson's tunnel fight, Scotland win. You think of David Soul's slow walk, Scotland win. You think of
our Wales thing in the tunnel.
The Wales thing in the tunnel, but you won.
If we hadn't.
But then you flip it around and you think of Wales facing off against the All Blacks, and that it was an unbelievable moment of drama, but then they get gubbed by 40. It's not quite the same
that's what I mean.
thing.
And then it says, then your sort of old hacks would then go, if they focused
Martin
less.
Johnson not moving for Mary McAleese in Dublin in 2003.
But that comes off. But then if it doesn't go well, you then say, well, if they spent less time focused on fucking what they should be doing with the hacker and more time on the game, they would have done well, you know?
The beauty of sport. Shall we talk about England specifically against Wales? I sort of slightly bought into the Sam Warburton, Wales are going to be better than anyone thinks. I thought it was going to be a real sort of dusty old affair for 40 minutes. I thought England were going to come through. I did not see England going 20 up in 20 or whatever it was.
It felt and looked like a warm-up game. It looked like England had arranged a warm-up game ready for Six Nations. That
is a terrible thing to say about England Wales in the opening game of a Six Nations.
It's a sad thing to talk about Wales in that regard, because we need a strong Welsh team.
Yeah.
And the best games I played in would be against Wales. Like we were saying, especially away, but even at home, like that passion they have for the game, the rivalry, the close games we had against them are the ones you remember, and you want it to be back to that. So it's sad sitting here saying that, but they just looked.
Were they worse than you thought they'd be, or was
I thought like everyone else, they'd show a bit of something to start with, but England didn't allow them to do that, and didn't allow them to take anything. That they just couldn't compete with anything, could they? No. Like there's nothing in the game, no area of the game they could compete.
And when you look at Wales conceded 9 penalties in the first 20 minutes. They conceded 2 yellow cards in 30 seconds to experienced players as well, Nicky Smith and Dowie Lake. Is that Wales shooting themselves in the foot, or is that the result of the pressure that they're trapped in the corner and they can't get out?
It's the nature of the game and the rules now, and I think whether you're experienced or not, experience is just where you're in at the time. So I wouldn't go at the players who did it. That's sort of not relevant. It's just when you're under a lot of pressure, when you're sort of having to deal with what's coming, what the onslaught is, and how you're sort of the positions you're in. They were under a lot of pressure. I thought for me, England causing so much problem because George Ford, when he was attacking, he looked so in control. Runners, guys at the line, they're offloading, so you can't ever really reset your defence. Yes. You're getting over the gain line. Tommy Freeman was huge. Ollie Chesham. I mean, there's a great stat here that says last 15 years there've been 9 instances when England started carrying for 40 metres or more, and 4 out of 9 are Chesham, including 43 metres against Wales.
He's a beast, by the way. Yeah, he is so good.
And he's sort of he's really grown into where he is. I think the back row, Earl getting over the gain line. Underhill playing well, but George Ford just pulling the strings. And as I've said, if you're on the front foot all the time and you've got runners and options and guys are getting half shoulders, the ball's being recycled well, that's probably what England previously hadn't had. But since Argentina, their offload stats are up, their passing stats are up. They put a lot of pressure. And when you try to deal with pressure, you try to force issues, and ultimately you find yourself offside, in the wrong place. You're trying to contain something that's uncontainable, and that's when you get yellow cards. Now, did it make England's life way easier? Of course. Can rugby turn on its head by giving a couple of yellow cards? Suddenly you're down to 13 men, or 100%. But I thought, George Ford, the ability to read when it's on to pass, that quick hands to Arundel's first try, right by the line, the confidence to play it in front of 2 people, perfect ball, or a crossfield kick, that was perfectly weighted. When you're under pressure, you probably don't necessarily go for those things, but England just had that time on the ball. And, I just think Wales are in a very difficult phase because they've got some talent. Producer Snacks says, got 10 top internationals in their team.
Interestingly, they're under 20s, I think it was, went 16-0 up against England at Franklin's Gardens. Eventually lost 19-16, I think it was. But there's some quite good players at that level. And I think in the under 18s as well, there's talent coming through. But that feels probably, it's going to be 4 years until some of them are in the 3-4 years until they're in. And it's going to take another 3 years.
Their whole situation is going to take time. It's not going to get change much.
But you could throw in, say, Jack Morgan, massive loss for them.
Yeah.
What you sort of think Jack Morgan in the mix, that suddenly
he's
changed.
That guy that you're saying with Scotland again that can just do something. Yeah, I don't think he's
not super
good enough to do.
No.
He is good, but he's not.
No, but I just think it's very difficult when you're playing against a team with wind in the sails, with talent across the board, and you put together a side that has got some talent, but maybe maybe not quite as good as they could be. And unfortunately, that's the nature of the players they've got to pick from.
Couple of quick fire questions around individuals. Tommy Freeman at 13.
Yeah.
And his relationship obviously with Fraser Dingwall. I mean, Dingwall he's another one of those players that's sort of unsung hero, nuts and bolts, glue, cement, whatever it is. What is he doing for that England backline at 12?
Dingwall, he just does his nuts and bolts, doesn't he? He just seems to do all the right things at the right times, gives them what they need. He's like that glue player that people talk about. Yeah. And I think they're obviously looking at that partnership because they both play for Saints and they just looked good together.
He's unselfish as well. What I love about Fraser Dingwall,
because he fed the speed for Arundel, didn't he?
That's what I mean. And because he's a good man and a team man. There was a bit where, the pass was 100% on. He just gives he just ran a little bit, gives a little pass, gives the ball to Arundel off the bat, doesn't try and force it. And when you're a player, when there's other players in a position that are slightly different than you, that can offer more, your natural instinct would be to be a bit selfish, to go, I've got this opportunity to show stuff. What I liked about him is he doesn't do that. He did what was needed for the team, and that is worth its weight in gold, It's a
bit like what Brad Barrett was like for us.
Yeah.
I think he's got more than Brad Barrett. But that's what he was like, unselfish, did all the hard graft, did the simple things well, just did his job so other people around him could flourish, and that's what he brings.
Do you think Freeman, therefore, is bedding in at 13 now? Is that...
I mean, looking at his stats, he was first on post-contact meters, first on dominant tackles, first on defenders beaten, second on meters made, and that's across all nations in round one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was against Wales, which, was quite one-sided. However... he looked so powerful, didn't he?
And I
Like,
just
every
think-
time he carried 2-3 people having to bring him down, which created so much space elsewhere.
Yeah.
So he's an option.
Yeah.
I think, look, people ask, are they unsure about him at 13? I don't think so. I think he's great in that position. I think it then frees you up to have Arundel, Roebuck in the mix.
Yeah.
I think it allows other players, Faye Bose, who obviously pulled out. You suddenly got quality of players across without creating a deficit in a position. And what I also love again is Benel going to centre. All that stuff that Eddie got, all that shit about giving saying Jack Noel was a hybrid.
I know, fair play.
It's come to fruition. So, and again, I think the ability of the POM squad to come in, to move, to accommodate, and actually you're not losing anything. That's the point. It's when someone's played very much out of position that they haven't had a lot of experience. But Tommy Freeman looked dangerous, and he's such a big man. That beautiful interplay with Cowan Dickey. On the touchline, Cowan Dickey just holds the pass long enough. You're not, if Tommy Freeman gets past you here, past your shoulder, you're going to struggle to stop him. Someone missed a tackle. Tommy Freeman steps inside. You're not stopping him that far out from the line, and he scores a try. That's worth its weight in gold. That ability to get over the game. Like when Lawrence plays, he brings that. It'd be really interesting to see. Would they, what they're like playing together if Dingwall wasn't quite there, because then you've suddenly got two guys that are absolutely game line winners.
Yeah, I just don't think Lawrence is 12, is he?
No.
He's been tried there. He prefers 13 more, doesn't he? So, and then you got a Jomo, who was great at 12.
Yeah.
So now you've got two different but brilliant 12s, two different-ish but brilliant 13s, creating depth, creating competition. You can use them different ways. You can play one combination one week, another combination another. That's how you win tournaments.
One more question on England, and I'm interested in your comparison. So when Eddie was in charge of your team, it wasn't necessarily just the Eddie Jones show, but there was a lot of headlines generated by Eddie, and he would set the media agenda, and you're smiling because his name was the biggest and brightest and up in lights, and you were not quite pawns in the game. But
it's all part of the plan,
it's
mate.
all part of the plan, mate.
Yeah.
12 wins on the bounce makes it much easier. But just give me a word on the balance now. And 12 months ago, I mean, Steve was under enormous pressure, but the balance that there is now between the way that, I mean, Steve, he hasn't really changed, but the answers are much easier to give because it can be done with a smile. But he is letting the team come out and talk, and he's letting Pollock do his thing, and he hasn't changed in any way, shape or form other than the team is now winning. Do you see a nice balance between coach and players? And
yeah, but I think it's the strength of the players around, coaches around him.
I agree.
Is
100%.
better now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Eddie Jones was at his best with good coaches around him. He was at his worst with weak, not very good coaches. Borthers, I love him. Is he, doesn't matter how much he changes, is he going to be the that emotional energy driver? No, Lee Blackett probably has that role. Wiggy has that role.
That spread of personality, skill set of coaches is so important. So credit to Borthers being aware of that and what he needs. And Blackett was like kind of the last piece of the puzzle. And I think he was looking for that person. He got Nick Evans in at one point to do the attack, got Nick Evans in, he got other people in. They went with Blackett on tour, who did really well. And then that senior player group's important as well. Now they've got like Jamie George, they've got Marrow,
Ellis,
Fordy, people like that, who again are different personalities, different way of doing things. And the way they talk, it sounds like they let other players around them show their personalities a bit more, and it makes a better environment.
And you've got Mavericks like, Pollock in the mix, Tommy Freeman, Finn Smith, youth, different views, different things. You can't, if you had a whole team of George forwards, it wouldn't work. You need that spread, but how do you then harness that spread? And at the moment, the chemistry and vibe's right.
Let's move on then from England's coaching setup to Italy's. Gonzalo Casale has got them up and running with a win. Give us a little overview of what that does for Italian rugby, Six Nations rugby, how good they were at the weekend.
It's great to see them now really competing, after all the years of everyone saying there should be relegation, they shouldn't be in it, them being the kind of whipping boys. It's great to see that work they've been doing behind the scenes in terms of, I guess, the pathways, infrastructure and all that stuff they've been doing.
Conor O'Shea.
Conor kind of started with Conor O'Shea. The great work they've been doing is now coming to fruition and showing what it's about. And kind of Wales are in that position now where they have to look off the field, all the stuff they're doing, and it just shows how long it could potentially take to kind of get them where they should be.
Decades rather than years. The other thing I was just throw in on Italy is you actually got to factor in the number of players they were missing as well. 300 plus caps absent. Ange Capuozzo, Tommaso Allen, Eduardo Todaro, Martin Page-Rello, Stephen Varney, Seb Negri, Ross Vincent, Marco Riccioni, Gianmarco Lucchesi, and Jacopo Trulla.
Yeah.
I hope I've pronounced some of those correctly, one or two. But that is that's almost another team in itself.
Yeah.
So it's not just what they're doing on the field; it's everything around it at the moment is rising.
But what's the difference with Italy in comparison to before is they are great to watch. They're exciting. They're interesting. Their centre partner, Brex and Menoncello, probably one of the best centre partners in the world. Menoncello's break, obviously he skipped inside, but they were offloading the ball. They were attacking. Really clever kick for Luigi Liner to get on the end of it. He looked big, he looked powerful, he's a big unit, great high ball play.
And it's like we say about England having that focus, stick to a game plan despite who they're playing against. That was Italy were the opposite of that over the years, weren't they? They just do random stuff, right? Which
Bergamasco at 9.
Just doing whatever they wanted, no real structure or game plan, and cause themselves to make errors and stuff like that. Whereas they seem to have a game plan they stick to now. They had that kicking game. I know I keep going back to kicking game, but it's so important at the highest level. They had that against Scotland and put them under pressure, especially in that howling weather. Yeah. They've now got physical set of forwards across the board as well.
Yeah,
really strong set piece, which helps as well.
And they're not wild; they're disciplined.
Yeah,
they're not the wild Italy of the past where they would get under pressure, start forcing errors. Guys
typified by the last 3 minutes to close out the game.
And I think that a team that has the ability to then close it out, get that maul penalty at the end, getting that turnover, they look calm, they look collected. And so, they're no longer, for me, an also team. They are here. They are now on the map of Italian sport, whereas it was so football. They are now doing good things. And are now, I used to meet Italian people and they talk, say the Italian team, they would be like, our rugby team's not that great. Now they're good. Now they are good, and they look like they're getting better.
That last passage at the end, that would have been old Italy giving that game away because they would have never been that disciplined to just. They kept getting off the line, still physical, but they were leaving rucks. They were making good decisions. They weren't being over eager, getting offside. The next challenge is now that they're on everyone's radar of not being old Italy. It's like now, how do you then win games? Because you're not a banana skin anymore, you're actually competing.
I'm just looking at the stats here on centre combinations, and I think I'm right in saying that Brex and Menoncello are the most established centre combination in the game right now. Dialende and Creel have played 14 times, but Brex and Menoncello have had 18 tests together. This is in the last 2 years. They are the most established centre combination in the game. Dialende and Creel on 14, Ikatan Suili 14, Choco Barras and Cinti for Argentina at 10, Barrett and Ioane for the All Blacks at 9. Where do you think they rate right now? Establishment obviously helps in what they're doing, but if you stuck them in an All Black or a Springbok jersey, would they be
they're
the best
doing
of the best?
At the highest level of the game, aren't they? International rugby. The consistency they're showing in their performances, hence why they're playing every week. They're doing it against top teams now, so they're right up there. I can't see why they wouldn't be, what Hask is saying, rated up with the best of them, because they're doing it now.
Menoncello off to Toulouse as well. Yeah. Capuozzo alongside. You're only going to improve if you go there.
Well, if you go to Toulouse and you've got Dupont at 9
and Tamac at 10.
Menoncello centre.
Yeah.
You've
Ramos.
Ramos. You've got Capuzzo. I know Agara was a little salty in his comments that Menoncello is obviously chosen Toulouse over La Rochelle. But if I was any player in the world, is going to want to go to Toulouse. Why would you not? The time on the ball, the way they play,
playing with the best players in the world.
Well, that's what I mean. And you only get better. And then I think you come into the Italian side with your tail held high, and then you're able to play a better. And I think Garbisi, he uses them well. He on the front foot looks great as well. And he's been a star for them for a while. Italy, there was a period where they weren't quite sure at 10 what was going to. Dominguez back in the day was kind of the
hoofed everything.
Yeah, hoofed everything, but they haven't had an Italian 10 really for a period of time that could really pull the strings. Garbisi now does that. Yeah. And now they're getting front foot ball, means they can play well.
Who have they got next?
Ireland. In Dublin.
It's another good chance for Italy to take a big scalp because Is it in Ireland?
It's in Dublin.
Yeah, still a good chance for them.
Let's
do
come
it
on to
away
that
as
note.
well.
Given we're talking Italy, we had a little conflab before. We're going to do our Remy Martin moment of excellence. Let's tell you about it because we raise a glass every week to something that's special that's happened over the weekend. And when you're talking excellence, we are, of course, talking about Remy Martin, VSOP.
Jack from Remy Martin is back in the studio, and you're going to put a little twist on a drink that you made for us before.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me again. So we must be doing something right if we're allowed back in.
A little treat for us, not for you.
Yeah, amazing. So to be honest, off the back of the live event that we did, we noticed that the cherry old fashioned that we made went down. It actually sold out straight away.
Is that right?
Within about half an hour. So it's super simple to make. You can pre-batch it at home. You can pre-batch it in the bottle, leave it in the freezer, and then have everyone come around, pour it out, ready to go. So
amazing.
Low effort, high reward. So originally the old fashioned uses bourbon, as we've previously mentioned, but I think it's a lot better with cognac, to be honest, especially something as versatile as VSOP. So get that ready. I'm going to add a little bit of the cherry syrup. So you want about 5 ml. So just going to eyeball that. So you just literally coat the bottom of the glass. Got Angostura bitters, so obviously this is almost like seasoning it, so just kind of balancing out that sweetness. It's going to enhance all the flavors in the cognac as well, so I do like maybe 2 or 3 dashes. And then we're going to do around sort of 50 ml. 50 ml is a good rule of thumb of Remy Martin VSOP. So that's ready to go. And then we're going to start adding some ice in. And the idea is that you're kind of building up this texture. You're not over diluting it too much, keeping the temperature as cold as possible, because that's the most ideal thing with when you're making a cocktail, is just keeping it nice and chilled. And then we're just going to stir. Just add a little bit.
Sound.
Yeah. The cherry, you don't have to use fresh ones. We've got some fresh for the garnish, but also the ones that you can buy. Just the finishing touch as well, which is really going to kind of make that drink pop.
Yeah.
Just a little thin strip of orange. Just
really zings off the top.
Yeah, it's
very
kind of like
chefy. That
it's kind of like adding it. Yes, don't judge me.
Yeah.
Kind of adds that like little bit of salt at the end of a dish. That's what we're looking for here, and then rub it around. And the idea is that it's on your fingers, it goes on the glass, and then you take that first sip, it kind of like just brightens it up quite a lot. And then a nice little garnish of the cherry there.
Plink.
And there we go.
Cheers, darling. Chin, chin.
Chin, chin.
Jack, thank you as always for coming to see us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for
having
me.
Treat, little half-time refreshment.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this.
While you... Oh, when it goes.
Sensational.
Sensational. Tell us, Hask, because obviously this is our moment of excellence for the week. We have got quite a few to choose from, mainly, I imagine, from those that won, but we were talking Italy, and you have gone with...
So I have gone with, firstly, the Italian atmosphere. I mean, incredible. Tears in the anthems, huge fireworks. It was some sort of in the colour of the Italian flag, meaning that no one could see for the first 10 minutes.
Love that.
Very Italian.
Atmospheric.
Yeah, create that sort of,
It's not about the game.
It's not about the game, it's about the atmosphere. The Eurotrash DJ after every try. I was taking notes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was sort of like Scooter, but on steroids.
Back in the house.
But I think for me, Simone Ferrari at prop.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, a prop called Ferrari. I mean, he doesn't look like a Ferrari.
Yeah.
I think his ability to dismantle the Scotland scrum. Pierre Schumann at 36 minutes got folded up like a travel map, which is always great to see. I think when a prop absolutely destroys it, then you've got to give it, you've got to give them the accolades. Obviously, France have had props back in the day. You've had Gros, which means fat, basically. And you've got Montagna, mountain, obviously. Now you've got Italy with a Ferrari, an Italian-made car. You wouldn't want to take it off-roading, but it did a hell of a job. And so for me, that is my Remy Martin moment of excellence, because he was just brilliant.
A nod to the front row. And rightly so as well. Well done to Italy. Well done, Simone Ferrari. Thank you very much indeed to Jack for our little mid-show treat. That was our Remy Martin moment of excellence. As you know, please enjoy Remy Martin VSOP responsibly. We're actually heading into the England camp in a few weeks' time, courtesy of our title sponsor, Continental Tyres. And we're going to try and have a chat with Conor O'Shea, a man you know very well, who's obviously put a lot in place in terms of the structures that are not only bearing fruit in England, but also during his time in Italy as well, doing great work rebuilding pathways both in Italy and England. When we are talking, though, about what's coming through for England and where England are right now and what we saw in round one, are we sticking with what I think many people would have said, that it is a 2-horse race between England and France for the title this year?
Yeah. But
I think so.
The only caveat to that is Ireland, when you look at why Ireland didn't perform, and I think France were incredible, again, the fix-ups for Ireland are that intent, that physicality, the competition
How
on the
easy
ground.
a fix-up is that?
Well, I think that's emotion, if I'm honest with you, and you've got to rebound. If you know Andy Farrell, as I do, and we do, is that's actually an easiest place to start this week when you go, look, guys, for fuck's sake, there wasn't the bite in the tackle, there wasn't the bite in the carries, there wasn't the bite in the clear outs.
He was pretty firm post-match.
That's what I mean.
And clear messaging.
Yeah, and so I think when you come into this week, will we see some players dropped? Maybe. Will he give guys other opportunities? Potentially. But the fix-ups are emotion. At Aviva, ready to play against Italy, that's almost a perfect team for them to come back to really deliver. And I think, will they learn a lot from it if they get these things right? Yeah, because of all the things we've said about the Italian side. I just think that, they've lost some players. We know that.
I was going to ask you, do you think they've got the cattle?
Well,
now, with a lot of changes.
I'll throw some more context into that, which is England A put over 50 points on their island counterparts in Limerick on the Friday night as well. So if you're trying to make changes...
I'm looking at their back line against the French one, and French guns in every position, but then Ireland, I'm like...
But okay, well, we said...
Not much there, is there?
We said after the World Cup...
Ouch.
What we said after the World Cup was that Ireland's chance gone? Yeah. Did we say that was the best chance they had in the last X amount of years to go on and win a World Cup or perform? The answer is yes, and that's been proven. Sexton going, Amani going, whoever.
Cian Healy, even though he wasn't necessarily front and centre anymore, was
all
still
these,
established.
They've lost a bit of personnel. I just think the thing with Ireland is they're very well coached. The fix-ups are probably intent. Do they have the X factor? Maybe not. But are they still a quality outfit? Yes, I would say so. Yes. But I think...
Would you still say that?
Yeah, on what basis would you say with those new players in, they haven't really shown much yet, have they?
No, I don't think they have, because I don't think they're getting the opportunity. But
I think you're going off previous...
Well, do you know what? Maybe. I think that what would be really interesting is you can have one game starting slowly and not getting it right. If they continue that, then it becomes a deficit of personnel, not emotional.
Yeah.
I think post this game, when we get into next week's roundup, what happens, we'll learn a lot. Because if you can't fix that at the Aviva against Italy, then it's a bigger problem. Then it's a talent problem, and then it's an issue.
Yeah. You'll see if they're developing or they're going to muddle through.
Because you have the best players in the world, but if you're not getting over the game line, you're not performing, you're not playing, everyone can look relatively average. I'd say... maybe it is a hangover from the past. Maybe I believe in the myth of Ireland too much, because they were one of the most difficult teams in my career. And also you look at Leinster and guys like that.
It is a weird one though, because you're saying about their passion and intent, which also Faz said. Like with Ireland, that was never ever an issue. Like their bare minimum would be that at least, and then they usually are quite well drilled. But like passion and intent, which is always normally there. So that's a weird one. Against France away in that first game, you think that would be right up there.
Yeah.
That's what they normally have as a bare minimum. So
yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, you look at it, Osborne.
It feels like there are a lot of guys beginning, either coming in and being given the shirt and given the chance to own it on a sort of permanent basis, or players who are trying to re-establish themselves, like Kloski and Stockdale.
What you're basing that on,
yeah. So I base it on, if you look at it, I'd go Ringrose, class. Stockdale, big
unit. He's been there and fallen out of favour, and then you've got to rebuild yourself again.
Prendergast, we're still unknown, because 10's been a bit of an issue. Gibson Park, world class.
The problem with
but getting on.
But Sheehan, fantastic, but didn't play pretty well. Joe McCarthy, young, very, very good player, was very, very good for the Lions, I thought. Tyke Byrne was outstanding for the Lions.
Series for the Lions.
Yeah, Josh van der Fleer, world player. Caelan Doris missed out the Lions tour, was unbelievable. There are some great quality in that side that you would hope would drag the other guys with them, but if they're not, they're underperforming, then the team falls apart. I don't think they're quite as far off as maybe people think, but if they don't perform, the other guys don't slot in, the boys don't play well, then that's where it comes off. That's my only thing is when I look at it like that. You know, Finley, Beelum, these guys. It wasn't that long ago with the Lions. You know what I mean?
But that's my question. Really, is history will tell you the team that contributes most to a Lions series struggles the year after.
Yeah.
But when you look at the team that's actually been named, it doesn't feel like there are. Well, I mean, there are obviously a few like Hugo Keenan who aren't there, but it doesn't feel like this is a tired Lions contributing Ireland team. It feels like a new team that's trying to. It feels like a big job for Andy Farrell to get the bit back between the teeth and get this lot up to speed in 18 months' time.
That's what makes this game against Italy so fascinating, isn't it? Because how are they going to come back from that? How Italy going to perform away from home after a win?
I think if they deal with that intent, which again I don't think it's emotionally that difficult to change. I think when you start the week and talk about it and show people clips online of them walking, losing collisions, not going to the game. Like
Faz, you know what Faz like? He'd be onto him. Like he's for someone you'd want to get you fired up. It'd be him as a coach, wouldn't it? So.
But which is I couldn't agree with more. But when you look at some of the characters here, I think he might have to be quite careful with some of them because he is asking them now to step up and become the owners of the shirt, but they haven't yet got the wins under the belt to do that. It's not like they're coming into a winning team and therefore building on the success of others. You're almost having to start this Ireland team again a little bit. When you look at Stockdale and McCloskey and Tommy O'Brien and Osborne in the back line, Prendergast, I mean, who knows where his head's at the moment. Everybody in Ireland is talking about, is it Crowley, is it Prendergast? There's a lot of questions around a team, and if you go at them at this point,
that's what
it can go one or two ways.
That's why Faz has chosen the intensity, what does he say? Intent, physicality, whatever you want to call it. Because that's like the base. You've got to get that right first, because otherwise you're never going to stand a chance. So that should be the non-negotiable bare minimum. Which is usually the case with Ireland. So get that right, and then I think what Hask is saying about them being well drilled and stuff, I think that will pull them through.
Because you can't doubt, even you say about some age getting on. You can't doubt the names I've listed. Jack Conan again. These guys are all lying. They're not suddenly 8 years down the line, but they can't second against a France side that made you fall in love with rugby again, really, if we're honest with you. I mean, look, there's a couple of contentious issues where France's tries, ordinarily you probably call them back some of the times with the forward passes and bits, but
they were that good though. Just like
appreciate the art, but
that was definitely that was definitely by far and away the hardest team to play first up. The fixes come out of it intent. Was it intent because the players aren't good enough? Like maybe what Brown is saying essentially, or was it because they were against a France team that, Biel Barry's little knee slide, reminiscent of Dominici back in the day, rest his soul, sliding through, scoring tries, cutting people apart. Dupont actually probably sat back in that game. Best game for Jalibert, who, remember, he didn't get picked. Remember, we had Ben Kaiser on, and he was third choice, Jalibert, remember, really. Couldn't get a game for love nor money. He's been given the keys to lead, and he delivered. Payno's not in the mix. No
Ficou, no
Ficou. That's what I mean. France, the beauty of what they did was they didn't allow Ireland to play, and they were just mercurial. And as you said, it made you want to play rugby again.
Yeah, it was literally the only game since I retired where I sat and go, I miss it just from the way they were playing. It was just so good to watch.
I actually got that against England. Bizarrely, watching the England performance, the way George Ford's attacked, the guys were offloading and playing. I was like, actually.
That'd be fun to be a part of.
It does look fun.
It looks fun. Yeah. It looks like a good game. Offloading, loose ball.
Real clarity.
Yeah, and again, that's all you want to be part of. France had that against Ireland, and Ireland were. Michael Checker used to have, or Jamie Joseph used to have an expression. You put the opposition in the tumble dryer, really, where they can't escape, they can't think, you can't clear, they don't ever get a chance to breathe. Ireland didn't really have that.
Producer Tom got drunk on Thursday night and got fired into the WhatsApp group. France are and always will be mentally fragile, which I thought was an interesting take, given that they'd absolutely cruised. But is there something in that, or is this French team now? It doesn't really matter whether they're mentally.
Well, so that's always been the old cliche. You never know what French side's going to turn up. We said with Sean Edwards coaching and the different mentality and the focus on structure, not just jouet, that eradicates that because you can fall back on it. I think any team that has the level of emotion
so
of French
let me set your scenario then. So obviously they build a massive lead, but Ireland start to come back and there's the Malvaca no arms tackle. It looked, if Ireland had got to 29-21 with 10 minutes to go, it could have been very interesting indeed. If England can exert pressure and it's not a it's not a 20-point lead, it's a 7-point lead, and Ford bangs over 2 drop goals. Can you see the souffle falling apart very quickly, or have France now got much more kind of substance to them in those moments?
I think they have more than they used to. Yeah. However, England have the capabilities with their kicking game, their set piece to go and squeeze a team like that and make them force errors. Now the defence looks good as well. That's pressuring. That pressurizes the opposition. So all those elements that squeeze and add pressure to a team and force errors and making them play where they don't want to, make them do what they don't want to do. They have that in the locker now, England. Yeah. And they also have depth to come off the bench and increase intensity or change the way of playing as well. So,
will France ever be a Saracens or an Ireland?
Will they ever grind it out?
Well, I don't think they can do that. I don't think it fits in with them. I think you can bring all the discipline you want into it. That they're still, French. Fiery, emotional French people. But I think the cliche of the self-implosion thing, I don't think will happen. No. But I don't think France can go into the gear of, not play, not force it, not do it.
But they have shown us over the last few years they can go into that pick and go power, like just bulldoze teams because they've got that big power game. And a lot of good stuff they had from the weekend came off the back of their kicking game as well, which was class. Yeah. Like their wingers going
Can
up,
we just touch on
back.
the Ramos? I know you're talking length, line and length, but the Ramos half volley for Bielbarri's. Was it a hat trick try? Yes.
Audacious and just extraordinary.
But that's not
he pulls that out quite a lot.
No, yeah. But that's what I mean. But that in a different game, they will never be. They will never be a Saracens. They will never be a
6-3 is not in the French rugby dictionary.
It's balls to the wall, but more of a game plan and more stability, more structure. But they still, of course, they have. I still think
it's like you go down the list of their backs that started, the athleticism, the X factor. It was like their quietest guy was the 14, Atisogbe.
Yeah,
like he was the quietest one. However, he was winning a lot of balls back in the air, which created the unstructured that they love. He made a break. I think it was in the second half, and bearing in mind it was pissing it down as well. Like he threw an unbelievable, over 10 metre offload, and you're like, where's that come from?
Yeah.
As well as his athleticism, but like Pierre Barry, Ramos,
Deporter looks like he's
Dupont
really
was quiet but still good. Like,
but again,
I love that. The 13 Deporter, like he's great, isn't he?
But they keep putting people out the woodwork,
Yeah, where does he come from?
Again, look at the French. Like, any wonder where the French are? It's the best league in the world, most watched, most exciting, huge games. Dominating Europe. Why would they not be up there? But they all dominate in a certain way. They don't dominate in a South African or English way.
Yeah, and when you can not play Payno and Tamak.
Yes, that's what I mean. I'm not even putting Payno in the squad.
It wasn't even like they were missed.
I know there's a shed load to go. And obviously, week at a time, it's in the lexicon of rugby media training.
Yeah.
But Jesus, a Grand Slam game in Paris.
How good.
And imagine how much the psyche of, they used to fold up at Johnny Wilkinson and Martin Johnson and Brian Moore and Mickey Skinner and that. There's so much history in that fixture.
That will determine the second best team in the world. 100%.
Yeah. I think first week, everyone needs to stay calm because we don't know, but we'll learn.
What's
much
the fun
more.
in that?
No, it is.
It's exciting.
But I've said it's in the Grand Slam. I've said I put my neck on the line for that. But I think we'll learn, progress. Injuries play a role. Disciplinary plays a role. This tournament is unforgiving. We've got a few different breaks in it, but it doesn't get any easier. And
someone will get a red card and banned. Someone will get injured. Unfortunately, it changes the whole landscape of things when that's
and you used to go to Italy, get a big win, play a few different players, change it up, rest a few guys.
Of rose here in the sunshine.
Not anymore.
Shall we play the Mugs game of predictions then? I cannot remember an Ireland-Italy game with as much riding on it. I mean, Italy, it's not like they got a free hit, but they have got a golden opportunity
big time
with the Ireland side that we've just discussed to take a big step forward. I just want to read you what David Walsh said about this Ireland side off the back of the defeat in Paris. Munster no longer has a good team. Leinster are no longer a great team. And the greatest era for the national side has ended. It was never going to last forever. R.I.P. Irish rugby. Or does the comeback begin this weekend?
Ended without doing anything at the World Cup as well.
Ouch. He's not bad at pouring salt into an open wound, Brown, is he?
No. He loves it as well.
2:10, ITV, Ireland against Italy. Is this the biggest step forward for the Azzurri, or do Ireland come out emotionally charged and sort it out?
I mean, I just cannot.
They've never lost to Italy at home.
I just cannot go against Ireland with what I know about Andy Farrell, that the other coaching staff, the fact that they've got the talented players on things. So I think Ireland will win. And I think it'll either kick them on to do better things in the tournament, or,
The brave money goes on the visitors. We had 3 home wins in round 1.
I really want Italy to win.
Just quickly, so we had 3 home rounds. It's been fascinating, the odds on that. 3 home wins in round 1. We've got Ireland, Italy, Scotland, England, and Wales, France. Well, France are going to win in Cardiff. England should start as favourites in Scotland. Big banana skin. Do Italy make it 3 away wins in round 2? Go on, Brownie. You're never one to sit on the fence.
I know.
Razzie Erasmus, if you want guidance, predicted a top 3 finish for Italy after the Box scrambled home in Turin in the autumn.
My head says what Hask is saying, but I want Italy to win, so I might just...
You can go ahead.
Do you know what? I'm going to back them. I'm going to back
Italy.
Yeah, I'm going to back them being as passionate in that first 10 minutes to counteract Ireland's passion, and then have more about them to do something else.
Let's hope that wizard doesn't come out and put a spell on them like he normally does.
Yeah, Taoiseach.
Yeah.
I think that's the Prime Minister.
Yeah,
More respectful.
It's going to be a good game.
Yeah,
that'd be a good game.
The one thing I really hope doesn't happen is that, and we've had this so many times before, Italy win and then they lose by 45 the following week.
Well,
do you know what I mean? Like, let's have a 16-13 and drama and a proper heavyweight contest rather than Italy, what have you done again? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This doesn't repeat itself.
I don't know if they're like that. Would they be like that anymore?
Well,
I think they've got enough to not be like that.
Exactly what I mean.
But I mean, how often have they won the first game in the Six Nations, did you say?
I think it's the 4th time in their history.
That's what I put. So, that being unused to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The psychological thing, did they kick the foot on the gas? I don't speak Italian. I don't know enough about them to know whether they're, do they breathe a sigh of relief? Is that their Everest to beat Scotland? Or do they double down? They got more of an appetite? Because that all plays into it.
You think if we're sat here going, what an opportunity there going, fuck this, we're not going to get a better opportunity this Ireland away when they're under the pump.
Yeah. Round 3, they're off to France. So yeah, if they're going to make top 3, you feel that this is the one.
Yeah,
they've got their away in Wales.
But then what happens if Ireland do lose? Oh my
wow!
Oh my God, that'll be madness.
If buts and maybes. Scotland against England, 4:40 ITV. Gregor's 100th game in charge. Do his charges help him tip the bat? Or do we think England are too businesslike?
England too businesslike, too strong. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked up as well. I can't wait for we have to do the following show and either go, yeah, we were right, or we were right.
I'm not on, so it's all right.
Yeah. You just pull the pin out of the
fires and we'll put them out next week. Do you? What is the biggest concern for England heading to Murrayfield?
For me, it's that whole focus piece. So focus around not giving stupid penalties away. The focus around doing your job in that game plan and sticking to that game plan. It's the focus around the set piece, the technical and tactical side of things, all the stuff they've been working on. If you lose focus, then that's when you give away penalties. That's when you do the wrong thing. That's when you go off piece in the game plan. And it's so important that start. Eddie always used to say fast start.
There's also, our last Six Nations we beat them, but there was 5 years in a row when they had our number.
Yeah,
and there's still lots of players in that squad that will have been hurting for that. And Scotland really dislike England, and they raise their game. And again, there's no easy games, but in particular going to Murrayfield with that level of hatred, really, and the fact they've had your number, and they've still got some good players in that Scotland squad. You want to respect it. You want to respect it, prep right, as you say, discipline tight, and get the victory and rewrite some wrongs for the last 5 years.
And they'll be talking about it. England will be talking about it in camp. Yeah. All that stuff.
What, the history?
The history, last 5 years. The passion, how bad they felt when they lost them last, like how passionate they'll be in that opening 10 minutes. So we've got to be better than that. Them in that area and all that sort of stuff. They'll be talking about it.
We lost up there, and I wasn't involved. I was in the stand because I think I was serving a ban or something, and they, you get all the fans coming out that will work, telling you how plucky they were to win, what small pool of players they've got, and how they've beaten the big giant, and all that kind of. It all comes out, and all the Scots got their shirts off, fucked up, pissed up after the game,
ties around their head,
calling Sir Edward's army, all that, changing the words. That'll all come out. It's not a great place to be, and so the only way you deal with that is to go and blow them away, really. Yeah. But unfortunately, Scotland often don't get the memo.
Sunday afternoon, Wales against France, 3:10 on the BBC. France by how many? 41, 45 and 43 points in their last 3 meetings.
It's going to be a bonus point by half-time, and that's being nice, I think.
Yeah.
Do you want to offer up a prayer in Welsh to your? Have you drained the Welsh blood out of you, or are you still?
No, I haven't. My mum's from Cross Hands, Upper Tumble. Yeah. Apparently, Upper Tumble's a posh part. Guilty.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I knew there was something about you.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Well, I actually played Ryan as well. But as both sets of fans remind me, I wouldn't have got into either one of their teams. So, I'd say
their loss is our gain, Hask.
I would say I want Wales to do better because we need a strong Welsh side. Do I believe and I like the Welsh players? Yeah, we met some of them when we went down and did that day at the Principality where we played the coin rugby. Dowie Lake, Adam Beard, really good guys. They're a proud nation. I want them to do well. I want them to see them do well. Do I think it's too big a mountain to climb? 100%, But equally, do I want to see France absolutely carve up and create a massive spectacle leading into the final weekend? Yeah, of course I do. So that's where I sit. Even with England thing, I do not want England to go down to Murrayfield and it be a dour occasion, the pissing rain, win by 3 points.
I think that's what it says on the ticket.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I want to go there. I want the Scots faithful to hate the English. I want the bagpipes rammed down everyone's throats. I want England to come out big, bold, powerful, dispatch them. And then I want to see Italy fucking do Ireland, and I want to see Ireland pick up the pieces and run with it.
Can't have it all, Jim.
I can't have it all. I can't have it all. But luckily, as a fan who isn't that kind of drilled down,
I'm the opposite. I want England to pump everyone.
Yeah,
but I do echo the points around Wales. You want a good, strong Welsh team.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. It's that time of year, isn't it? Hopefully you're entertained. If you're not, can find something else to do. On the lock-in this week, we're going to give you a little exclusive early release of Hask out and about with the Sappuccino Club as he went to meet Sam Vesti. Elsewhere, do subscribe, only £3.99 for exclusive content, giveaways and some top-tier nonsense on the lock-in. Check out our other shows. If you haven't, go and have a little listen and a look at Good Bad Football, which is absolutely flying at the moment with Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt. Good Scaz Rugby, which is back shortly. Rugby Confidential, if you like your French rugby. We've got Good Bad Beast for you with Eddie Hall. Joe Marler will see you now, which is producing incredible numbers. And if you ever grew up wanting to be James Bond, go and have a little listen to the Luxury Dispatch as well with all the good news, views and opinions from the world of luxury. Thank you as always for our very good friends at Continental Tyres, who are the proud sponsors of the Continental Tyres Schools Cup, driving the next generation from the ground up. We are a folding pocket production. Stats and facts provided by Russ Petty, and this episode was produced by Tom Edwards. Enjoy all that comes your way in round 2 of the Guinness Six Nations, and we'll see you next week for a debrief. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the good, yay, the bad, and the rugby, oof, with Alex Payne, James Haskell and Mike Tyndall. Thanks for listening.